He takes his own juice can and dinks it against yours. I'll dink myself against him. Hello, and welcome to A Date at the Cemetery. This is a dark horror visual novel in which you meet a kind man named Avon at a party one night. You guys hit it off so well, you agree to go on a date with him. However, as the night goes on, he begins revealing things about himself, and as secret after secret is revealed, you begin wishing that you could just go home. Let's get started. I am very excited to play this. Sometimes, dating in Colorado felt harder than it had any right to be. You'd search in places no one should ever have to search. Like speed dating with a guy who looked twice your age and still lived in his mother's basement. Ew! Or maybe it was the endless void of Tinder where every swipe led to the same dead-end conversation, where it was clear most people only wanted one thing. You really did try, honestly, but despite all your efforts, you came up empty. That was... until that night. You went to some overrated, overpriced warehouse party with bad lighting and ear-deafening music. Not exactly your scene, but your friends have practically dragged you there. Put yourself out there, they said. Meet someone new, someone different, they said. And someone different it was. You'd just gone through a messy breakup, and let's face it, far too many nights spent single. You weren't exactly desperate. But it would have been nice to have someone to talk to, someone to share a drink with, or maybe something more. Romantically speaking, of course. And that's how you met Avon. Oh, he's so pretty. Though it wasn't exactly the stuff of fairy tales. Not in some our eyes met across the room kind of way or love at first sight. Oh no, you met him face first, practically body slamming him in your drunken sprint to the bathroom. Turns out that one too many and your lifelong lightweight status didn't mix too well. Who knew? But instead of brushing you off like any other shitty college guy would, he helped. He actually helped. He held your hair back like some knight in a slightly wrinkled flannel that seemed to wash way too many times to count. And made sure you didn't pass out on the cold tile of the bathroom floor as your lunch made its ever so grand reappearance in the toilet. He stayed until the room stopped spinning, or at least slowed down a little. Now normally, you don't give your number out to a random guy you've only known for the duration of a bad life choice. But after someone's literally held your hair while your dignity shot through your mouth, it would have been kinda rude not to. So here you are, in the car of the guy who helped you while you were involuntarily purging your stomach. What the hell am I doing here? You must have been scowling because you were snapped out of your thoughts by his smooth and soft voice. What are you thinking about? You got that far-off look, like an angry cat. Was it that obvious? He stifled a small laugh, glancing over you slowly. Well, now you look confused. Are you planning an escape route or something? He was always so teasing, even over text after the party. Now was no different. Oh, me? I'm just thinking about how we met. It was an odd way to meet a date, that's for sure. But you wanted to give it a chance. Oh, the party, right? You could barely remember your own name. Wait, what was it again? He smirked, clearly teasing. You narrowed your eyes but played along anyway. What is your name? What a great way to put our name in the game. Right. Yinny. Surprised you could remember it. He turned in the fence, laughing in shock. Hey, first date and you're still teasing me. He chuckled and rolled his eyes, keeping one hand on the steering wheel. Putting his free hand up, he sighed in feigned defeat. Force the habit, I suppose. I'll have you know I excel at first dates. And hey, you haven't jumped out of the car yet, so that must mean you don't mind it. Kinda like a knight in shining armor that doubles as a court jester. He said, thinking for a moment, keeping his eyes on the road now. And now I get the honor of spending the night with you. Yeah, and if you're really nice, we'll even bang a lang. Please don't kill me. I must be on a roll. You rolled your eyes but couldn't help the smile tugging at the corner of your lips. His confidence was ridiculous. Borderline cheesy but charming. The soft hum of lo-fi music played in the background, easing some sort of tension in your chest. Something about Avon made it easy to breathe, made you feel safe. Even from the very beginning, when most people would have just handed you napkins and walked away, he stuck around. He always felt genuine, even if he was practically a stranger. Say, you into lo-fi? Oh, yeah, I love lo-fi. Avon smiled. He seemed to like that. Nice. Nia, good taste? He chuckled. Honestly, you'd be surprised how many people only listen to it for studying or background noise. I know, find it calming. Helps clear the mental static a bit. You get me? Yeah, I can see that. I smile at him, considering his opinion. I get why you like it. He leaned back in his seat, red eyes half closed as the mellow beat filled the dark car, head bopping gently. So where exactly are you taking me? A slight smirk played on Avon's handsome face. You'll see. It's a surprise. A surprise? You're not about to murder me in the woods or something, are you? Yes, he is. Avon chortled at the idea. What? No, I didn't even have a weapon on me, relax. The night breeze shifted past you as you took in your surroundings, just like how I'll hopefully take him in later. You stared confused into the void of the unfamiliar parking lot. Wait, this is a surprise. A parking lot. I gave a nervous chuckle, trying not to seem rude. Not quite. There's that teasing tone again. We're going there. Avon pointed just beyond the parking lot. There you saw large gates and a worn stone sign that read Denver, Colorado Cemetery. Is that the cemetery? Bingo. He looked back at me with a look of pride. You like it? Actually, hell yeah. I like how you think. Let's be unhinged. Avon giggled, proud of his choice. I like your energy. I think it's romantic in a mysterious, spooky sort of way. Think about it. Peaceful, quiet, no crowds, just vibes. Alone. Yeah, and then we can fandangle. Is he flirting? He's flirting. He's so hot. Okay. I avert my eyes, feeling heat rise up to my cheeks. I grew a bashful smile. I changed my mind when you say it like that. He snickered, taking notice of your flushed face. Oh, you don't mean that. He giggled. Yeah, great date idea. Just answered a bunch of dead people. Great listeners. Avon gestures you to follow him. Come on. It's not as weird as it sounds, promise. He looked so excited. You and Avon walked along the misty pavement of the parking lot. You slightly behind, shoes crunching the gravel beneath them. As you followed along, it felt as if the path got dimmer and dimmer. The gate ahead looms like it belongs in some sort of gothic novel. It all felt so off, but only for a moment. A small spider skitters across the toe of your shoe. You freeze, taking a sharp breath, then continue walking. A little stiffer than before. You quickly latch onto Avon's arm without thinking. He stiffens in shock as he looks over to you. You okay? Letting go in embarrassment, you sigh with a nervous chuckle. Yeah, just didn't really expect this kind of vibe tonight. I can see that. His face softens slightly, and he gives you a gentle smile. Don't worry, I'll make sure you have a good time. Wanna hold my hand? Yes? Take his hand. You gently took his hand with a grateful smile. It's warm and steady, like it's guiding you. Something about that brings you comfort. There we go. His genuine smile puts you at ease. I promise not to let any spiders slip under your skin. You laugh at his morbid joke. His touch felt grounding even if for a fleeting moment. Appreciated. We can leave that to the corpses. Despite your own joke, you shivered at the thought. So gross. You scrunched your face up in playful disgust, your head leaning on his shoulder with a sigh. Yeah. Avon's voice trails off as if he were daydreaming about something. The path still feels eerie but somehow less alone. His thumb rubs against the top of your hands as you walk. It's subtle but comforting. You two continue to walk along the gravel path, the gate behind you fading into the dark. Your eyes travel down to his chest, catching a glimpse of his necklace. You were surprised you didn't see it before. Hey, where'd you get that necklace? Avon hesitated, tensing up at the sudden question. Such a sudden interest. Well, it was my dad's, originally. As he averts his gaze, the air suddenly feels thicker. Oh, is it real? Like, genuine? Avon snorted at your question. It's not Shein or anything, if that's what you mean. It's actually from a cult. You stopped in your tracks, taken aback by his sentiment. Was he in a cult? What the hell did you get yourself into? You're in a cult? There's no way, right? Avon laughed at your reaction. Genuine, but now he was slightly guarded. Not in the way that when he said was self-conscious. Just as if he was avoiding a really awkward conversation. No, not me. Not by a long shot. He's still laughing. But my dad was. Oh. And you know, the apple doesn't fall too far. I'm not in the cult, but I am a Satanist. Oh, damn, that's kind of cool, honestly. Mysterious with a dash of daddy issues. Avon paused, watching you for a moment as a smile slowly crept on his face. His voice was low, very amused at your response. Exactly the vibe I was going for. Avon laughed and leaned in close, a content smile on his face. You get it. Most people don't. They don't always like it. Somehow, you two felt closer now, not just physically. I like people who aren't afraid of things like that. It's rare, you know? Really rare. His eyes lingered on you a second too long, as if you were weighing something behind them. He gave you a smile, one that felt almost too gentle. Honestly, that may be what I see in you. Why I took you out here. Let's be for real. No one would just go on some date with a stranger they met 2 days ago at a warehouse party. Not to a cemetery, to a, public location, yeah. But I think you see people, you know? The words feel flattering. Intimate even, but there's something heavy beneath them. Really? You look at him with bright eyes. You think that about me? You smile at his words. Unless I'm wrong, of course. There's that playful tone again. I guess we'll learn that together then, won't we? Avon turned his face away, hiding behind his fringe, though you could hear his breath hitch slightly. Am I turning him on? I sure hope so. Deciding to change the topic, you clear your throat. Ahem. As you walk beside Avon, your eyes drift downwards, drawn by the way his fingers toy with the pendant around his neck. It's a St. Peter's cross, dangling loosely from a blackened chain. He's pinching it between his thumb and index, rubbing it in slow circles like it soothes him. But it's not the necklace that's keeping your gaze this time, it's his hands. The skin around his nails is torn, raw and jagged, like he's been picking or biting at it for a while. Your hands. What happened? He freezes for half a second, just long enough for you to notice. Then he exhales a small laugh, too sharp to be casual. Ah, that. He keeps walking but shoves his hands into his pocket as if he were a child, caught with his hands in the cookie jar. I bite them sometimes when I'm stressed or thinking too much. His tone shifts slightly. It was quieter, distant, like the words are drifting somewhere darker than he's currently willing to show you. You nod, the path crunching under your steps, and don't press any further. You want to ask what too much means, but something tells you don't really want the answer. So instead you walk beside him in silence, Avon humming softly under his breath. the pendant still swinging from his neck like a pendulum, ticking down to something awful. The soft curve of the cemetery's path crunched beneath your feet as the silence between your steps grew lighter. As the path faded into patchy grass, you noticed something just ahead, laid out like a dream. A blanket, snacks and a couple of drinks, all neatly placed in a clearing between old headstones. Okay, that's cute. Weird location, but it's still cute. I'm gonna be saying that anymore in the future when he actually kills me. You pause in front of the admittedly romantic display. Wait, was this already here? When did he have time for that? Avon glanced over with a crooked smile as if caught. Yeah, I like to be prepared. Yeah, really prepared. You stared at the picnic ahead in surprise. How long did it take for him to do this? Oh, look at him, he's so cute. He gave you a charming smile, taking your hand, guiding you to the blanket. He sat with his legs stretched out comfortably, hands folding behind him like this was routine. Over the years I've gotten used to setting things up in advance. It's a habit of mine. Sometimes I don't always get much time to plan, so when I can, I make it count. His voice dipped lower, like he was remembering something. They didn't elaborate, and you weren't sure if it was really your place to push. You slowly sat beside him, still eyeing the picnic-like setup. So what is all this anyway? You nod to the blanket and the small spread of food and drinks laid out. Are you trying to romance me or put me into a food coma? You inch closer to Avon, getting comfortable. He chuckles, getting comfortable in his position but not pulling away. A little bit of both, maybe. Let's see. Avon reached out to grab a bag of chips. We've got chips, plain and spicy, sweet and sour candy, couple homemade pastries, sweet ones, nothing fancy. Letting go of the item in his hand, he taps a small cooler near the center. Then water, juice, soda, and a few energy drinks if you're into that. I'm into you. You made the pastries. Avon grinned. What? You think I'm more graveyards? I can bake. Wow, suddenly I will forgive all his crimes. He chuckles to himself. Badly, but it still counts. It's sweet. You glance at the food again, then back up to him, an appreciative smile on your lips. This is actually really thoughtful. Like I said, I like to be prepared. You should never forget that. Is that a threat? Is that foreshadowing? I'm scared. So, drinks. What's your pick? Well, what would you pick? He lifts a can of juice, grinning. Juice or water, simple. Keeps the hands steady and the mind clear. Plus, energy drinks make my head hurt. Not exactly a fan. You couldn't hold back the look of concern on your face. He raised an eyebrow at your expression, playfully amused. Didn't expect that, did you? Juice sounds good. You grab a can of juice and raise a brow at the label. Is this blood orange? Avon lights up, clearly pleased. Of course, on theme, right? Had some extras when a friend was over at my place. He takes his own juice can and dinks it against yours. I'll dink myself against him. Cheers to sugar. Avon takes a long sip of his own drink, as do you. Ah, that hits the spot. You look over the rest of the setup, eyeing the snacks laid out. Okay, be honest. Are you trying to be romantic or just fatten me up for a ritual sacrifice? Avon grins at your question, lounging back on his hands without breaking eye contact. Can it be both? I think that's the best kind of romance. He waves a hand over the snacks. Alright, menu time. Pastries. I mean, you baked. Now I have to judge you. You take one of the small uneven pastries and raise a brow. Avon smirks but looks a bit self-conscious. Come on now, be gentle. They were made during a psychotic episode or two. Despite a slightly concerning comment, you take a bite. It's actually good. Soft and sweet, and surprisingly not a crime against humanity. It's impressive for someone who sucks at baking. Avon hums, proud of himself. As time passes, you ate snacks and spoke about various things. Sometimes it was about nothing. Sometimes it was about an actual topic. But overall, you were both enjoying yourselves in each other's company. You couldn't help but wonder though. How do you even get in here? Aren't you worried about getting caught or something? You're nervous at the idea of a security guard catching you both out here. Avon chuckled, rubbing his shoulder. Not really. Trespassing's never been a big deal to me. Back when I was younger, some friends and I used to sneak into way worse places. Abandoned factories, rooftops, train yards. Avon's gaze shifted to the side for a moment. A few houses too. He laughed to himself as if it were just harmless nostalgia. We got into a bunch of other illegal shit. Still do sometimes. You eye him with a wary look, brows raising. They just grinned wider. Relax. That's not why we're here tonight. He gestured loosely to the graves around you. I actually work here. Funeral home side of it, or morgue, depending on what sounds spookier to you. So I don't really care when I come in or out, as long as I don't piss anyone off. You know, dig up a grave or mess with a coffin or two. He laughed again like it was a joke. You weren't sure it was. You tilt your head, taking that in. Most people wouldn't go near a morgue, let alone work in one, but he seemed unfazed. You work at a morgue? For how long? Avon hummed thoughtfully. 5 years? Would have started sooner, but I got caught up in some things after high school. Avon sat upright, gazing at the full moon. The morgue doesn't bother you? Or are you like the receptionist or something? That made him actually laugh. No, I do the full works. Embalming, cleaning, prepping, down to the nitty-gritty. Death doesn't really bother me. Never has. He looked at you and for a second something flickered in his eyes. Run, Yinny, run! It's all natural anyway, plus. He bit his lips slightly, a strange glint in his expression. I quite like it. You like death? You hesitated. Or your job? He giggled quiet and low, leaning back on his elbows and turning his face away from yours. Both. Wow, so not only are you a corpse stylist, you're like a hot Grim Reaper. Avon burst into genuine laughter, falling back into the blanket with a soft thud. God, that's a first. He turned his head to look at you, a warm if slightly wicked grin on his lips. Is this the part where we bang a lang? But yeah, I guess I am the hot ambassador of death in a way. He giggled at the idea. I should put that on a resume. You laughed too, though part of you still wondered if he'd actually put that on his resume. The silence between you grows. It's not hostile but cautious. You glance at him, watching the way he stares ahead, expression unreadable now. The blanket is spread out on the grass. The soft clink of the drink bottles and the faint rustle of candy wrappers and the hum of distant wind fill the air. Wow, all this eating has me thinking. I haven't really asked too much about you, you know? Besides work and you saving my ass from further embarrassment. Avon leans back on his hands, giving you a slight grin. Oh yeah? Common hobby of mine. Besides parties, cemeteries, and, saving drunks. He eyed you for a moment, stifling a laugh. I've actually got some surprises up my sleeve. Like collecting old trinkets, exploring abandoned buildings, watching banned or illegal films, stuff like that. He seemed proud of his spread of hobbies, a smile stretching on his face. You seem like the grimy type, huh? There's a low hum in Avon's throat. I actually really like cleaning. Like, obsessively. Back when I was still with my dad, he kind of stopped giving a damn, so I picked up around the house. I'd say it's a good hobby for a mortician, you know? Just another part of the job. Wow, a polar opposite interest, huh? You breathed in mild amusement as Avon raised a brow like you challenged him. What? No, I have more normal hobbies too. He shifts, turning fully towards you, corner of his mouth pulling into a smirk. You probably caught on that I like lo-fi earlier, but I also like messing with candles. It's pretty fun. That and I go up to the mountains pretty often to ski or snowboard. Man, do I love it. Just the wind, the speed, the crunch of the snow. It's dangerous, sure, but that's what I like about it. You listened to him with interest, smiling as he spoke about his hobbies. Avon smiles back before averting his eyes. He clicks his tongue in thought, voice soft and unsure. Yeah, the mountains are my kind of thing. You tilt your head, about to respond. But Avon opens his mouth first and you cut him off. Oh, I'm sorry. He then blinks and chuckles, waving you to go on ahead. No, go first. You nod slightly before speaking teasingly. So candles. I never thought someone like you would be into making candles. Avon laughs, eyes flicking away with a sheepish smile. Yeah, doctor says it's nice to have a soothing, calming hobby. What? He looks back at you, catching your shocked expression, then bursts into laughter. I'm joking. Rolling his eyes, he continues, his tone softer now. When I was younger, my baby sister Arden actually loved them. It was a nice distraction from, well, our parents constantly bickering. His fingers tap idly on the blanket as he speaks, like he was keeping count of his thoughts. He's so hot. I'm so into this date right now because he's gorgeous. I used to just watch her and my mom make them. Avon's face loosened in melancholy. Honestly, I thought it was dumb at the time. Candles, who'd care, right? He exhales through his nose with a nostalgic smile. The one I shared to make one for school, show and tell. Mom was working late, Dad refused to help, so there I was in the kitchen, trying to make sure she didn't get burned by the wax. He shook his head quietly, lips parting only slightly before swallowing the emotion that threatened to come out. Instead, he murmured a sigh. She's only 2 years younger than me, but I knew my parents would kill me if I let her hurt herself, so I helped. And I just kept the hobby since then. He hummed in knowledge and he coughed to wave off any lingering awkwardness. That wasn't awkward for you at all. He must have felt that way himself. You smiled fondly at his awkwardness, finding it endearing. You shifted uncomfortably, letting out a shiver and curling in slightly. Hands wrapping around yourself as you huffed out a warm breath of air. I didn't dress as warm as I thought. Oh well, you laughed small and breathy, trying to downplay the visible shiver that ran up your spine. Avon snickered quietly. Well, there's an extra blanket. He reaches over in front of you to grab it on the other side of the makeshift picnic and hands a soft roll of cloth to you without a word. Gently taking it, you bring the fabric to your face, inhaling the scent without thinking it. It was nice and soft and inviting, homey even. Unrolling it, you tugged it around your shoulders, cuddling into it before holding open the other end for Avon. Avon's body stiffened as he realized what you were offering. Come snuggle. What? Get in here. Okay. Avon crawled over into the blanket, settling in close enough to feel each other's warmth. You couldn't help but let out a giggle at his flustered and awkward state. So, does the blanket smell nice? You looked at him, face red in embarrassment. Hey! Yeah, sorry. Avon chuckles. Don't worry about it. I'm glad you like it. I try to keep everything smelling nice, you know? House, car, myself, and even blankets, I guess. You both fell into a small fit of giggles. Though some people say walking into my house is like walking into a Bath and Body Works. Why? Are you hiding the scent of something? Bodies? He let out a giggle snort at his own joke. This was nice. It was weird that despite everything you still laughed, but the mind has an odd way of handling things. Maybe it was the blanket or the way Avon said it. Well, hey, there's nothing wrong smelling like a candle aisle. The wind carried the soft rustle of tree branches, and in the distance, the quiet chirp of crickets tried to fill the silence of the cemetery. For a moment, things felt peaceful. Avon's smile tightened in playful joy. I think that's the nicest insult I've gotten all week. He hummed in acknowledgement. But I'll have you know that scent is called Midnight Smoke and Cedarwood, thank you very much. Very masculine. Very mysterious. He burst into a quiet laugh, muffled slightly by the blanket. Really? I thought it was vanilla and cherry blossoms. He rolled his eyes, but the corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. Oh no, I guess I like the idea of comfort. It's nice. When everything else isn't. Feels safe, you know? Well, I guess that's true when it's working. The blanket, the smell, the whole dead people picnic vibe. Kinda cozy in its own way. He turned towards you, his smile softening, eyes meeting yours. Yeah? He paused for a moment, genuinely curious. His hand reaching out slowly, settling on the curve of your cheek. You feel safe with me. You paused, feeling his eyes on yours. The question lingered in the air, not heavy, just delicate. You didn't flinch. Instead, you gave a small laugh as heat rose up your neck, tilting your head. You looked towards him with a half smile. I mean, so far you haven't pushed me into a grave, so that's promising. Ha 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 ha. You weren't sure if you fully believed yourself, but better safe than sorry. Avon let out a low chuckle, shaking his head at your joke. Such high praise. What can I say? My standards are dangerously low. Avon's eyes glanced up to the side, a smirk pulling at his lips. Well, you did give me a number after throwing up. Hey, it was out of the kindness of my heart, plus probably the closest thing to a fairy tale in the city. Or nightmare. You wonder what he meant by that, but decided not to push and brushed it off with a laugh. I had one too many of those to count. But seriously, this place is kind of weirdly pretty at night. I didn't think I'd ever say that about a cemetery. Avon sat up for a moment to properly lay on his side and face you. Yeah, it's quiet, peaceful. Plus, no one ever complains about the music or other sounds. You laughed, pushing his shoulder. Ew! Calming down, you sighed. So this is your idea of a romantic evening, huh? Smirking, he nodded. Dead silence, a cozy blanket, probably a ghost or two. Classic. You shook your head, laughing softly at his ghost comment. Stupid. The shift in tone was welcome, like slipping back into a familiar rhythm. And for now, neither of you dug any deeper. The two of you sat in the stillness, your shoulder nearly brushing Avon's. So tell me something. What do you do when you're not judging people's candle scent choices and getting dragged to graveyards by questionable men? You smirked, pulling the blanket tighter like it helped you think. You mean besides silently questioning my life choices? Avon grinned with a chuckle, leaning into you. Oh yeah? I mean, I've got hobbies. Sort of. I read sometimes. Draw a little, exploring here and there. Spiral emotionally on the weekends. The usual. Avon laughed, looking up at the sky. Oh yeah, can't forget those. You both shared a snicker before falling into a comfortable silence. So, do you like Colorado? Avon blinks as if the question caught him off guard, then he lets out a breath and chuckles. That's a sudden shift. Yeah, well, not everything has to be about death and trauma, right? He tilts his head, considering you for a moment. Then his expression softens just a bit. Fair enough. Yeah, I like it. Cold's a bitch, but the mountains make up for it. Have you always lived here? Avon shook his head. Nah, I was actually born in Mexico. Mexico? Really? He hummed in confirmation. Near Mexico City. My mom moved us up here when I was about 4, so the air was cleaner. He rolls his eyes at that, clearly quoting. Not sure if she meant that metaphorically or literally, but here we are. You nod slowly, taking it in. I sure hope I get to take him in soon. I don't even care if we do it in the graveyard and ghosts get to watch us. Do you remember anything from back there? Bits and pieces. The language stuck more than the place, though. I barely use it now. There's a moment of silence again, but this one feels easier. Less like a pressure and more like a shared pause. Avon takes a sip of his drink before speaking. What about you, Yandere? Born and raised, or did you crawl out of some haunted crypt nearby? Wouldn't you like to know, grave boy? Avon nearly spits up his drink and laughs, amused. Did you just quote a meme? He snickers. But damn, grave boy. Cute. I'm flattered. You glance at him and his eyes are already on you. Mischief there, but something else too. Something searching. Strange, isn't it? What is? How nice it is talking with you, despite not really knowing each other. He nodded in agreement. He was opening up, but so were you. It was nice. He hummed in thought. Are you normal? I don't think anyone is. Really. Yeah, I just gotta look hard enough. Avon's eyes glanced you over, giving you an expectant look as his eyebrows raised ever so slightly. But then he looked away, foot tapping in thought. I mean, I know I'm not. I know you're not either, but that's okay. Avon giggles for a moment, softer this time. I fully get people pretending they are. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't. I just wish I didn't have to. Can be tiring. He speaks of normalcy like it's a bitter word on his tongue. Normal's overrated anyways, dude. Avon raised an eyebrow, intrigued. His grin is crooked, too pleased. You know, I think you're right. I kinda think people try too hard to be normal. To put on a mask, but I like being myself. Your words brought warmth to his chest as he relaxed. Yeah, me too. Avon thought for a moment. I was thinking, and I find it surprising still. You, still here, talking to me, even listening. I think I get it now. He smiles appreciatively, sit in silence for a moment, watching as the grey clouds pass by, the wind of Colorado passing you by. I was thinking about the whole thing with your family, and I can't help but be a little jealous. Avon looks at you in concern, his eyebrows raising in shock for a moment. You quickly realize your words and stammer to clarify. Oh, whoa, no, I mean, you and your sister. My bad. Avon nodded with a small huh, and thought for a moment. Well, do you have any siblings? He waved off the idea. Oh, no, but it'd be fun if I did. Avon chuckled. Yeah. You lay beside him, eyes drifting once more to the inverted cross pendant resting on his chest. The St. Peter's cross glints faintly under the moonlight. You hesitate, then speak softly. You talked about your dad a little, but not much about your mum or your family in general besides the candle stuff. Avon's gaze doesn't leave the sky. His thumb instinctively moves to the pendant, pressing it lightly. My dad, you already know, cult stuff, anger, the whole cocktail. My mum wasn't really around. Not fully. Avon huffed through his nose at the memory. She had this affair with a man. Not like some midlife crisis either, it was long, ongoing. My dad knew she never left him though. Eventually she did. Not legally, of course, still married on paper. Isn't that something? Either desperate to escape my father or desperately in love. I never knew, still don't. At the time I was too young to really understand. Shaking his head, he continued as he listened with soft eyes. She did eventually have a kid though when I was about 2, right before we moved here. Things were fine, I didn't suspect a thing. Too young to. Then, my dad got more violent, angry, drunk, abusive. He chuckles humorless. Oh, I tried so hard to make her happy again. I'd stay up all night long doing my homework, studying, getting the best grades. She always stressed the importance of it. Say things like, don't worry about mommy, Habibi. Just focus on your studies and I'll be fine. Avon laughed sadly. I believed her. No. Even when she was getting the lights knocked out of her, my grades of all things would fix it. Man, I was naive. But you were a child, you didn't know. Avon sighed as he listened. My sister. Half-sister. Whatever. Mom took Arden and ran when I was around 10. Left me with my dad like I was part of the problem. Or just too much effort to pack up. Can you believe the guy actually moved up here too? Avon rolled his eyes at the thought. She'd check in sometimes, bring groceries, see how I was doing, or when I got in trouble, but my dad barely cooked. When I was about 14, she hardly came around anymore, more like once every other month. Dad didn't give a damn either, probably too drunk to. Sometimes just too sadistic to. I went hungry a lot, ate spoiled or raw food until I finally taught myself to cook. Money wasn't the issue, it's not like we were broke, they just stopped caring. My dad raised me to be detached, I guess. Like emotions were a weakness. He wanted me to be just like him. Occasionally put his hands on me and talk down to me like I was scum. Probably the worst thing he could have done. He never really saw how much damage that shit caused. But watching him beat my mom, Avon spaced out as if dissociating. Yeah, that left a scar big enough on its own. He didn't say anything at first, just let the silence settle between you. Avon stared ahead, eyes unfocused, jaw clenched but not angry. Just distant, lost in memory. The wind moved through the cemetery trees again, brushing through branches and stone like the dead were listening. He spoke quietly. You okay? He blinked like he'd forgotten you were there, head turning slightly towards you then away. Yeah, I'm good. He let out a quick breath, shaking his hand lightly as if trying to snap himself back, pulling the blanket that was wrapped between you both closer to his body. Oh, sorry, Yandere, that probably got a lot deeper than you expected, huh? He smiled, trying to lighten the mood, but it was more like a mask than anything. It's okay. He kept your tone steady as he smiled. I don't mind. For a moment, his shoulders relaxed. Not much, but it was enough. So what about your sister, Arden? Avon glanced at you, brows furrowing just a little. My sister. We're not that close anymore. Oh, really? Avon hesitated for a moment, eyes drifting away from you again, looking at an old and cracked headstone. It's not because I don't want to, it's probably just better this way. His thumb rubbed absent-mindedly into the blanket. We text a lot though, talk here and there, send memes, pretend things are normal. He gave a small hollow chuckle. Anything but that, huh? Yep. I think I just wish we had a real childhood. Like one of those cliche ones with the bike rides and birthday parties and I don't know, warm kitchens or something. Sort of like the Hallmark movies. He shook his head gently with a scoff, like he should push the image away before it got too vivid. She used to visit when I was younger. After she and my mom left, sometimes she'd stay a few nights, sometimes a few weeks. I used to count the days until she'd come back. I mean, yeah, she's your sister. His voice got more distant now that he swallowed thickly. I got really attached. Mentally, I mean. Probably more than I should have. He seemed to struggle to look at you after that, staring down into his own hands. Anyway, we hang out now and then, grab food and walk around, it's good, just not the way I imagined it when I was a kid. He exhaled slowly. Back then, I thought when I got older we'd just fix it somehow. Well, do you have any friends? Ouch, how mean. You laughed, giving him an apologetic smile. But yeah, I do, though I'm not too sure if you would call all of them friends. Tell me about your high school friends. High school friends. He thought for a moment, gathering his thoughts. Well, I've actually known Tusk and West since middle school. We weren't the best of friends, definitely not saints, not even close. We used to mess with this kid Xander. Actually, he used to be scrawny, quiet, too nerdy for his own good. Easy target. Kinda looked like a kick puppy most of the time. I think we just wanted to see if he'd snap. He never really did. Avon laughed, as if remembering a fun memory. There was this one time, up on the school rooftop. It was my idea, obviously. I thought it'd be funny, give him a little push, you know? A shove. Dumb move, but we were kids. He went right over the edge, broke a bunch of shit. His arm, his ribs, maybe his pride too. Still breathing though, so it's not that big of a deal in the long run, right? You stand in shock. What? Avon looked at you right in the eye, but quickly moved on instead of explaining himself. He simply laughed it off. Anyway, high school came around, somehow we ended up friends with him. I suggested it, of course. Said it'd be good to keep him close. At that point, he fit in alright, after a bit of rewiring. Xander had been changed into something harder, more useful, easier to laugh with, and he had potential. Okay, this is very messed up. But keep talking. You wonder what he meant by potential. We all started hanging out more, studying, crashing at each other's places. I always got the best grades. Tess was all about football, lifting, and yelling about grit. It was either that or superheroes. West was like a sugar bomb with legs. Adrenaline driven. Jittery hands, big dumb heart, always down to try everything if you framed it right. I found it funny. Took advantage of that more than once. There was this night at my house, West dropped a cup. Plastic, not even glass. My dad lost his shit. Slapped him so hard the wall shook. What the hell? Poor West looked like he'd seen God. Your brows furrowed in concern. What the hell? What happened? I laughed. What else could you do? Tess didn't though. From then on, he'd bring juice boxes over like West was some toddler. Thought that was sweet in a sad kind of way, not that it mattered. They stopped staying overnight too, not long after that. You guys stayed friends? Well, college split us up, kinda. Not really. I switched majors. Was gonna be a nurse, but that got boring. Now I'm in cybersecurity. Makes more sense, right? I like breaking into things, so it felt like the right thing to do. We are slowly discovering that he's more and more messed up. I'm interested to see where this goes. Tess still playing football, drinking his weight in cheap beers, studying something with dead frogs and scalpels, biology studying frat bro. West is doing journalism, wants to tell stories. Kind of funny considering how many of us have never ever touched in 1,000 years. He knows when to keep his mouth shut. Usually. What does that mean? I'm getting my masters now though, still top of the class, still ahead of the game. Xander? Still following along, though we're hardly in contact like we used to be in high school. Avon thinks as a flicker of betrayal crosses his face. And tell me about your acquaintances. Avon giggles as if someone already popped up into his head. This girl Calvert and I go way back, high school. She used to hang out with Xander actually. I think they were lab partners or something in middle school. Funny, right? She hated me. Said I gave her a bad feeling the first time I spoke to her. That was just first meeting jitters. We weren't friends, not back then. But soon enough we both needed cash. Her mum was sick. Really sick. She didn't talk about it much, but it hung on her like a weight. Mia had my own mess to deal with. You know, angry dad, mum bailed, bills stacking up like bones. We both needed a way out. So we made one. Started small. Contracts off the darknet, nothing huge. Just hacking jobs, some light blackmail, data dumps. We were good together. He raised your eyebrow. He rolled his eyes and smirked. Not in a romantic way, calm down. Just efficient. She knew how to code, how to keep her mouth shut. I respected that. I pitched the organ trade once, just casually. She didn't like that too much. Can't blame her, I guess. She's got lines. Me? Mine's a bit blurrier. Instead, we focus on trackers, GPS mods, burner rigs. Custom bugs, stuff you stick on a car or a person when you want to know anything. It sold like crazy. Black market, private contractors, some guy in Russia who never gave a name, we made a killing. She's sharp, no nonsense, and way too grounded to fall into the chaos like others did. Still thinks I'm dangerous. She's right, of course. I feel like I should go home. But she keeps answering when I call, and in this line of work, that's all that matters. Avon sighed thoughtfully. This is a lot to admit to me right now. These are all very mounting red flags. Such an interesting character, though. Tell me about your childhood friends. Xander. I met Xander when I was 4. Fresh off the move to Colorado. We were kids. Recess friends. He followed me around the playground like some sad little duck. All big eyes and scraped knees. At first I didn't mind. He was quiet. Easy. But kids grow and I started noticing things. How soft he was. How easy it'd be to chip away at him, so I did. You got the sense that there was more he wasn't letting off for some reason. I shoved him during dodgeball and said he cried too easy. Pulled his hoodie down in front of the other kids, he flinched like clockwork. Eventually I cornered him after class, whispered things that stuck in his head for hours. Oh, you are messed up. We knew since you shoved Xander off a building. No one likes you. You're just convenient. That kind of thing. Oh, you are awful. Isn't that a bit much? Maybe, but I was shaping him. Doing him a favor. I let him sit with us one day, ignore him the next. Toss him a compliment after ripping him apart. Over time he started hanging on to every word I said. And that's when I knew I had him. By high school junior year, we weren't just friends, we were something else. We do things that make your skin crawl, break-ins, vandalism, setups. You're admitting a lot to me on your first date. Sometimes it was for fun. Sometimes it was for a little extra cash. Sometimes it was easy, just to see how far we'd go, how far he'd go. And Xander, he hesitated, but he never really said no. Avon's face flickered with something wicked. Not when it mattered anyways. We got close. Real close. Your face scrunched in confusion. What do you mean? You know, the kind of close people notice but don't question. Well, West did, rambled about it all the time to Tusk, our friends, but most just whisper about it. They never questioned anything, and if they did, they certainly didn't say anything. I remember laughing once, thinking how no one would ever believe what we'd really done together, how deep it all went. But then shit caught up to me. After high school I got into some mess. Jail time. Nothing permanent, but enough. When I got out, Xander was gone. Blocked my number. Changed phones. Vanished like I'd never been part of his life. Avon's grip on the blanket tightened between his fingers, nails sticking back into his palm. It stung bad. Not because I missed him, but because I made him. Ooh, that is scary. He blinked once and twice, trying to evaluate his words properly. And he had the nerve to pretend like I never existed. He looked in shock, jumping back for a moment. Avon sighed and muttered a sorry. I was pissed, hurt. Yeah, sure, but mostly angry. I let go eventually, got into college, started over, kind of. Then I saw him again on campus. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Maybe he had. I didn't rush it. Just gave him space, time, and wouldn't you know it, slowly he came back around. Or maybe he could have just left him alone. Started messaging, laughing again, letting the walls drop, same old patterns, same little ticks. Avon laughed. And tell me about your close friends. I've got a little circle. Not many people know about them. Not really, just a handful of friends, if you could call them that. They're the ones I can actually be myself around. No masks, no filters, no judgment. That shit's rare. Some of them are worse than me, honestly, in different ways. Sick, twisted people. The kind of people who should have been locked away years ago if the world gave a damn. I mean, you are pretty scary already. For him to say something like that, I think it's actually terrifying. So far, definitely shaping up to be a much darker love interest. At the moment, I'm appreciating the characterization quite a lot. We've all done things no one should talk about out loud. Stuff that should have landed us behind bars or 6 feet under, but it didn't. It never does. And when I'm with them, I feel unchained, like the violence in my chest finally has somewhere to go. It excites me, keeps me sharp and alive, but also weirdly accepted. He laughed, not wanting to let off more than necessary. I don't talk about them too much, so maybe another day. But I will say this. I introduced Xander to them once. Thought maybe, just maybe, he'd fit in. I was optimistic they scared him, especially after that cat. What happened with the cat? He looked at him in curiosity. And by the way, guys, for especially heavy topics, I will put trigger warning pop-ups probably in the bottom corner here. A cat. Yeah, we killed a cat. You did what? Why? Right in front of him. What the hell? Avon jumped to defend himself. A mistake, really. Avon looked to the side as if he was hiding something. Xander wanted nothing to do with them after that, avoided me for weeks. Wes, though. Wes was easier. He's wired for adrenaline. Doesn't even need a reason. If there's a rush, he's in. Turs catered that. Always tried to keep him out of our mess, but when Turs wasn't looking, Wes tagged along just fine. But none of them. None. Compared to her. Renee. Met her on Twitter of all places. One of those weird, grimy late-night communities. Dark concept art, gore. The darkest, freakiest shit you could find. And she got me. She's not like the rest. I don't know where she is exactly, but I cherish her. That's not a word I use lightly. Avon hummed, a soft, genuine smile on his face. Oh, you are messed up. Wow, you really do have friends. You're not sure what to say at first. His words hang in the air, dense and uneasy. Wow, you really do have friends. You laughed nervously. Damn, interesting. Not exactly surprising, though. He tilts his head slightly, the corner of his mouth twitching. You say that like you figured me out. I'll be honest. You kind of loaded a lot onto me, and not in a sexy way either. It's gonna take me a lot to process. You crossed your arms slowly, posture calm and controlled. He was like a two-faced rabid animal, if you will. He seemed kind, and maybe at this point he changed. His smile didn't reach his eyes, however. He was so kind at the party, and possibly all of that was behind him now. But you weren't too sure. Some people change. Maybe I did. That's what they say after all, right? Well, you were pretty nice at the party. He hums, quietly, agreeing. I put on my best behavior that night. Glad you noticed. Yeah, I get it. All people need a pack. You didn't want to push the wrong buttons. You breathe, trying to release tension. He watches you breathe like he's logging it away, amused. It's how you survive, isn't it? Most people anyways. But you know, people change. Always have a reason, and you seem like you've changed. That counts as something. I mean, the guy at the party couldn't have possibly have been the same guy you're talking about now, right? His face goes still. Too still. We all have some skeletons to hide, but what matters is where we go from there, I guess. He smiles again as he watches you for your response. You have a lot of skeletons to hide. You are very gorgeous, but a lot of the stuff that you told me is so messed up, I would be running for the hills. Right. But as his eyes drift away from you, the smile fades entirely. His jaw clenches. Just barely, and his gaze settles on nothing in particular, unfocused and quiet like he's thinking. As the breeze picked up, you shivered slightly. Avon glanced at you and sighed. Rolling his neck, he looked back at you. What about you, Yandere? How's your family and friends? He says it like it's casual, but his eyes linger like he's actually listening for something deeper than just small talk. I got lucky. Both are good. Avon laughed, but it was tight and forced. Oh no. Well, Yandere, perfect family, perfect friends. He shook his head, smiling. Must have had it real easy, huh? No. You open your mouth to respond, but he cuts in before you can. Sorry, it's just wild hearing someone say that and not be joking. He lets out a short laugh. You don't really know what awful is then. Lucky you. Laughing slightly to ease the tension, you decide to move the topic to something more light. What happened to us just being thoughtful and eating pastries together? You both sat on the edge of the blanket, your drinks settled beside you. Avon had been talking for a while. drifting from the subject of classes into random tangents about life. So you're 25, right? Are you still in school? Yeah, I study at Denver University, working towards my master's now. Any good? Yeah, school's fine, I guess. You? Nice. I actually go to a community college at the moment. Saves money. Has a university. It's cool, lots to do. But sometimes I just ditch and go check out abandoned places. Or drive around with friends, clears my head. You laugh slightly. Which one do you usually enjoy more? Avon smirked. Both, actually. Man's gonna have hobbies other than death and whatever illegal shit. His smile faltered a bit at the casual way that he said it. Avon's eyes flickered to you. He's genuinely quite scary. He could tell that you weren't entirely comfortable with the joke. Avon then sighed and leaned back, flashing a quick smile. My bad. His voice was teasing as usual, but softer now. You wanna hear some poems? You raised a brow. Oh, poems? I'll be honest, Avon, I don't know if we're gonna last after this conversation. Yeah, I got a bunch saved. Avon hummed, sitting up and already unlocking his phone. Renee's actually heard some of these before. I don't care about Renee, Jesus. You nodded and smiled. Sure then. He scrolled for what he was searching for and began reading. The first one was raw, almost uncomfortably so, about being a desperate child who always felt like an intruder in his own home. Avon searched your face for your reaction. You smiled in interest. The second was darker. It was about teenage years, adrenaline-filled, defiance-ridden and drenched in trouble. It was full of the excitement only committing a crime could give. Avon searched your face for your reaction. You smiled in interest. The third and last one felt like it was about someone older. It held the same trouble as the last, perhaps even worse, but it was heavy and reflective. Avon searched your face for your reaction. You smiled in interest. When he finished the last line, his voice lingered in the air for a moment before he spoke again. I wanted to be a good person once. Maybe I was. But it was so long ago, I'm not sure anymore. It's actually really sad that obviously, he has to take responsibility for his actions and what he's done, which he's done a lot of horrible things, but it's very, very sad as you kind of wonder if his mum just took him along with her, would he have turned out differently? Because when he speaks about himself when he is younger, he's kind. Like, he looked after his sister, made sure she didn't get burnt. Like, he wasn't always like this up until he was left alone with his dad. I guess those are shitty parents and no internet safety does to you. You sat there and thought, and that's when you noticed a soft patter around you. It had started to rain. The thick leaves above your head shielding most of it. At least we're under a good tree. He muttered as you two watched the droplets fall just past the edge of the blanket. Silence hung between you until you nudged him. Keep talking. He didn't look at you at first, but then his eyes scraped slowly to their corner, glancing over at you. You ever want to disappear? You stared in momentary shock. I mean, weird question, that's for sure, but sometimes? Not in a literal sense, of course, more like just taking a break from everything. A restart. I think we all need that now and then. Avon looked in shock momentarily, but then smiled. You're quite thoughtful, huh? You laughed, mainly at his observation. I am? I guess it was a bit deep, huh? Avon stopped you with a small shake of his head. No, not at all. I'm actually glad you thought about it. It shows character. You looked at him, not sure if that said character was a good thing or not. Avon rolled his eyes. It's a good thing, I like it. People that show something other than the surface level, that is. You thought for a moment. I get you. People can see just one side of the coin without bothering to see the other. Avon smiled. It seemed genuine. More genuine than any smile throughout this entire date. The rain that splattered around you grew heavy, thunder crackling angrily in the distance. The trees that once saved you from getting your clothing soaked now did little to help filter out the rain. The blanket around you both also soaking. Oh no! Oh, crap! Oh shit. Damn, I didn't think of the rain. You stood up quickly, trying to block your face from the rain. Avon looked around quickly and grabbed your arm. Come on. He swiftly pulled you underneath a stone hedge that led into what seemed to be a mausoleum. I don't trust this expression on his face, I'm scared. You both leaned your backs against the stone wall, catching your breath. After a few moments, you both turned to look at each other. You both couldn't help but laugh at the situation. Thanks. Quick thinking there. Yeah, I wouldn't want my, date to get wet, would I? I mean, not in that way, huh? Wringing out his hair, he took it out of his ponytail and muttered to himself. He shook his hair out and massaged his scalp, allowing the locks to fall along his shoulders, letting out a content hum. Much better. Oh, he's so pretty though. He smiled at you playfully, teasing you. You're shivering. Yeah, I guess a blanket can't do much when it's wet, can it? You laughed, pulling your arms closer to your body. If you want, I can hold on to you. We could keep each other warm, just till the rain calms down enough to walk to the car. Hold me. You suddenly feel warm already. Avon let out a guffaw at your flustered face. Yeah, hold you. Come here. Don't make it awkward. He pulled you closer into his chest. It was warm and his cologne brought a sense of comfort, same as the blanket did. It almost made you relax against your will, keeping you inhaling and steady. Didn't entirely notice it before, but despite his frame, he seemed well built. His heartbeat, despite everything, was steady. You looked up at him as he smiled down at you. Better? Quickly, you turned your head away bashfully. Yeah, actually, a lot warmer now. Your gaze made its way back towards him. The way his wet strands of hair clung to his neck and curtained around his face made you blush. Getting a closer look, you locked onto his eyes, and they almost made you forget where you were for a moment. The way the red rings pulsed ever so slightly. It was hard not to get lost in such unique irises. You fell over your words, mouth suddenly dry. Something caught your eye? Or is it something on my face, Dove? His voice was soft and sultry, slipping into your ears like silk. What? Oh, wait. Dove. Avon chuckled at your confused face. Dove. Like a morning dove. Ah, I see. It seems so dark. To most. It's sweet in his own way, I guess. Avon brought his hand to your face and wiped away a stray hair that clung to it. Your cheeks are so warm. Do you like that name, Dove? What? No, I did, but that's not why. It's just that we're super close. Avon cocked his eyebrows slightly. Not used to it, Dove? He didn't say anything, and he let out a sigh. Off in thought, letting his hands find its way back to your waist. He simply stared off into the rain and back at you. When he looked back at you, he gave you a gentle smile. It was the kind of smile that could melt someone's heart, and it did. Yours fluttered as you two sat together under the rough patter of rain. He rested your head gently against his chest. The steady rhythm of his heartbeat filled your ears as a yawn slipped out. The limbs on your body had grown heavy. Rubbing your eyes, your thoughts moved slower and slower. You hadn't realized just how tired you were after a long conversation. Avon's eyes softened as he shifted, lowering you both against the stone floor of the mausoleum, letting you rest against him. Oh, that's cute though. We still need to kind of work on what you told me before, and you really need to get some therapy, but in the moment this is quite adorable. He sighed in thought, glancing down at you as your eyelids grew heavy. It's fine to nap. I'll wake you up once the rain clears, so don't worry about it, okay? You nodded tiredly and finally allowed sleep to take you. As you slept, Avon muttered to himself in thought. I like you, kinda. In a weird way, I guess. I can keep you around, see what you're about. Do not do what you did to Xander and your other friends to me. I will run. He laughed quietly to himself. Congratulations to you, I guess, huh? Interesting enough to keep around. At least you weren't boring. He leaned his head back against the cold stone wall, eyes drifting shut for a moment. Oh, you really are lucky, you know, Yandere. You just don't know. Time passed. And when you stirred awake, Avon was gently shaking your shoulder. Your eyes flooded open. Outside the mausoleum, the rain had slowed to a drizzle. Sleep well, Dove? He yawned, stretching as he sat up. Yeah, I guess the conversation in the rain really put me to sleep. It's not that you're boring or anything, your voice is just soothing. Sorry about that. Avon chuckled, offering you his hand to help you up. All good. He pulled out his phone, checked the time and sighed. It's getting pretty late, huh? Guess I should drive you back home. He guided you by the hand back towards the soaked picnic spot, collecting a few snacks and handing them to you. For the ride. Wait, what about the rest of the stuff? Avon glanced over his shoulder and shook his hand with a smile. I'll come by and clean it up later. Let's just worry about getting you home for now, okay? You nodded, following him down the path to the entryway of the cemetery. I'm not telling you this now, Avon, but this is the last date we're ever gonna have unless you get some help. Back at his car, he stashed the snacks and opened the door for you. As you settled inside with a sigh, he slipped into the driver's seat. Before starting the car, he pulled out a long switchblade and placed it casually on the control panel. Why? Your eyes widened and shocked slightly at the blade. Did you always have that? He buckled his seatbelt, glancing between the knife and you. Oh yeah, keep it on me in case anything bad happens. Out of habit, really. You laughed nervously, trying to poke fun as he started the car. What, did you think I was some serial killer here to take your organs or something? Avon gave you a once-over and let out a short laugh as he pulled down the lot. You? Not in a million years. What about you? He giggled as the car rolled down the empty streets towards your house. The ride was full of chatter and jokes as Avon held your free hand in his, rubbing small circles on your hand with his thumb. Before long, you stood outside your place. Avon got out too, grabbing his jacket and leaning against his car to watch as he walked up to your door. Thanks for the date. And for driving me home. Yeah, thanks for the date. You thoroughly creeped me out, by the way. You're absolutely gorgeous. But my god, I really hope you get some help. Avon grinned playfully, rolling his eyes. Of course. Sorry you got wet though. You glanced out your damp clothes and shrugged. A little rain never killed anybody. Yes, you're right. Well, tonight was nice, Yandere. I'll let you get inside and get settled. You nodded with a smile, turning on your heel. But before you could step away, his hand caught your wrist gently, turning you back around. Before you could ask what was wrong, he leaned in and pressed a small kiss on your cheekbone before pulling away with a fond smile. Oh, thanks for the date tonight. Have a good night, Dove. You stammered, cheeks hot. You too. Blushing, you watched him head back towards his car. But before getting in, he glanced back at you with a small grin. Until next time. You smiled and nodded quickly. Yeah. He waved you off and you slipped inside, shutting the door behind you. You smiled to yourself. The date wasn't half bad. A little creepy, sure, but not half bad. Ending 3 out of 4. Until next time. To be continued. Alright, let's get the other 3 endings. I picked all the bad options so far, so he's pretty much well on his way to hating me. And this time I'm gonna choose what the hell is wrong with you when he's talking about Xander in college. What the hell is wrong with you? You recoil, disgust written all over your face. You killed a cat and thought that was okay. His smile falters, brow twitching as his eyes narrow just slightly. I was dying anyway, you don't know the full story. Well, you should have taken it to the vet. But you let Xander around those people, and then you have the nerve to talk about him like some toy. Oh no. His jaw clenches as he sat up. He laughs, short and sharp and joyless.
Xander wanted to be there. Could have always said no, Yinny.
Avon rolled his eyes dismissively. Except he couldn't. It sounds like you didn't give him a choice. You've never given him a choice. Avon goes to speak, but you're quicker, if only by a second. And don't even get me started on that stuff with West. He could have been fine, but you just... He cuts in, voice suddenly louder, tone defensive.
I just what, huh? West made his own choices. Don't hold a gun to his head.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. And who knows if your connection with Renee is even real. Avon's eyes stares daggers into yours. If looks could truly kill, you'd be as dead as the bodies beneath the soil by now. Your tone even, steady. Look, I don't care what you've been through, there's just no excuse. No better that you're also casual about it, that is true. You glanced away, bringing your knees into your body. His mouth opens but nothing comes out. He stares at you as if he's seeing you differently now. He whispers under his breath with a snarl. Wait, what did he say? Hey! Hey, you can't call me that! Hey! Quickly, your head snapped back to meet his gaze. What?
You think you're better than me, huh, Yinny?
You stared at him in disbelief, weighing your words. I mean, the stuff that you just told me is not normal, like you really need help. Suddenly this felt less like an argument and more like your life was in danger. You decided to take things more easy. This was a date after all, and you didn't want your name ending up on some shitty true crime podcast. I didn't say that, that's not... No. I get that you had to make cash. Went through some stuff. I get it, but don't we all? Avon let out a breath from his nose bitterly. For a moment you could have sworn you saw the black rings within his eyes contract. It's just, I don't know. You need help, Avon. There was a pause of silence. A long one. He turns his face away from you, expression unreadable at first. That was until his jaw tightens, his gaze drops to the floor, cold and calculating. When he looks up again, it's not at you. It's through you, like something behind his eyes clicked.
So that's what you think.
Then, he smiles. Doesn't say another word, just stares, breathing slow and eyes sharp. Like he was thinking. Plotting. As the breeze picked up, you shivered slightly. Avon glanced at you inside. Rolling his neck, he looked back at you.
What about you, Yinny? How's your family and friends?
I'm gonna skip forward this part a little bit, just to get to the next branch, because I think this is the same choices as before. Yeah, we'll pick the same one, because we're trying to get him to hate us. And then this time for the poems, instead of smiling, we'll disapprove. Alright, and we are now here where he is holding us after we ran from the rain, but he's not as sweet this time. He simply stared off into the rain and back at you. Suddenly his face fell. Completely unreadable. There was a faint edge of irritation in the way his jaw tightened. He forced out a sigh with a smile that didn't reach his eyes.
You know, I've been trying this whole time, right?
I'm scared. He sucked his teeth, thinking. But it just feels like
you're not. Or maybe you could never really get me.
You froze, caught off guard by the sudden shift in attitude. Okay, you can release me now.
Like you hate me or something. You get it? Everything I say you shut down or twist or just...
He clicked his tongue, letting out a dry, humorless laugh. We just have different opinions on things. Nothing's wrong with that. You wonder why he was so upset. Truthfully, the date had already gone sour. You just wanted it to end. To go home, maybe block his number the second you walked through your door. Desperation had dragged you into this mess and now you wish you left earlier. He smiled tightly at you.
Yeah. They say opposites attract, don't they?
From the corner of your eye, you caught something glinting in the moonlight. What is that? Your chest tightened. What was that?
Too bad I'm not the kind of people they're talking about.
Oh no. Catching a glimpse of the glint, you instinctively stumble back as it made its way towards you. Really? You're gonna murder me because I offended you? Avon's gaze turned irritated. No, angry as the rings in his eyes pulsed rapidly. See, this is such a visceral fear that you have though. And it's like such a danger for people going on first dates. Which is particularly why this is so scary to me. I feel like his character is written very well. And it's definitely hitting like the dark media marks. But the reason it scares me so much is because of how realistic it is. Some people do come off really nice at first. And then they reveal their colors and by then, like, sometimes there's nothing you can do about it and it's terrifying. And like, you can make arguments like, oh yeah, well you saw that it was a cemetery, why'd you still go? But it's like, speaking for myself, sometimes a lot of women go along with things because saying no can often net you such bad reactions. So it's like terrifying, right? If you say no and say you want to go home, he might snap then and there. So maybe you're like, maybe I can go and maybe it'll be a good time, but then sometimes it just doesn't turn out to be a good time, which is why it's so scary to me. You glanced down at what he was holding, recognizing it as a long switchblade. What? What the hell? And he told us that he didn't have any weapons at the start too. Your heart hammered rapidly in your chest, breath becoming uneven and ragged. What the hell is going on? Avon's chest rose and fell with adrenaline as his once angry face twisted into a manic smile. Waiting no longer, he lunged at you, making you roll out of the way and onto rough stone pavement.
Damn it!
Hearing Avon's sharp snarls of frustration, you scrambled to your feet and bolted outside of the mausoleum. You ran through the maze of trees and tombstones, your breath ragged as the cemetery swallowed you whole. Heavy rapid footsteps pounded after you, closing the gap.
Oh, you really think you can run from me?
His voice was low but loud. You tried desperately not to slip, every muscle screaming at you to keep moving. Your mind spun with 1,000 thoughts, each one sharper than the last. You shouldn't have gone on a date with a guy you barely knew, especially not at night. You should have at least told someone where you were going, but no. Now the only thing you wanted to do was to curl up into a hole and cry. Instead, you pushed your body forward, forcing your way through the unfamiliar graveyard in a blind attempt to find the exit. You thought you remembered where it was. But even if you made it out, then what? He had a car. You didn't. You couldn't outrun him all the way back to town, could you? The city wasn't far, not really. You were in the middle of Denver, though. But the nearest major buildings were half a mile away, their glowing windows hidden by distance. Smaller shops, side streets, parks. They had to be closer. If you were lucky, you might stumble into someone. Anyone. Or was it too late? Would anyone be even out at this hour? Oh, it's terrifying.
Go on. Keep fucking running, Yinny. I hope you know I'll find you, like I always do.
Like he always does? What does that mean? What did he mean? He did this to other people.
It's actually quite cute how desperate you are.
His voice swung to a high giggle, voice rasping between breaths.
You're pathetic.
He spoke like it was all a game to him, and maybe it was. He sounded way too happy for it not to be. And the way he smiled at you before you ran sent shivers down your spine. This is a wonderfully written horror. You thought fast, finally approaching the exit. Where would you go? You couldn't just run down the roads, you had to go where he couldn't see you. The trees. You could go through the trees. You made a sharp turn as you exited, stunning Avon for a second as you looked around for where you could have gone. This gave you time to sneak into the trees that surrounded the cemetery and make way towards the city. You ran through, hoping the rain would filter your footsteps.
I know you're somewhere in there, Yinny.
He laughed with glee as he heard the crunch of his own feet from the distance.
Come on. Don't hide.
You stopped running and stood paralyzed in fear. Every nerve in your body screamed to turn around just to see how far he was. But you forced your eyes forward, scared that the single action alone would make all your efforts go to waste. So you kept going, but slowly. You made slow footsteps, shoes crunching between twigs and leaves towards what sounded like a busy street. You made good progress too, hope filling your chest as you inched closer and closer to safety. Occasionally, Avon would taunt you, his mere presence making you feel dizzy. You just wished it was over. The street wasn't too far now, just 3 yards or so away, and... You writhed in pain as you fell into a drop near what looked like a small pond and a crashed truck. You fell on the branch and clutched your back in pain as you cried out, the stream of water failing miserably at muffling your sounds of pain. Oh no! You wondered if Avon heard you, but you didn't hear anything. Hopefully not. You lay there for a moment, taking in your surroundings, catching a glimpse of the path that just led upward to the busy street just ahead. All you had to do was get up and get to the road. It was so close now. Safety was so close now. Trying to stand, you winced in pain, your ankle throbbing from your fall. But you had to push through, you had to. Please take advantage of your adrenaline and just run for it. Wobbling in pain towards the path, you heard a shift behind you. Before you even had the chance to look, you were quickly tripped and your ankle was stomped on as you fell. Oh no! Rolling onto your back as you cried, you saw Avon loom over you. Avon smiled as he breathed heavily, trapped you below him, placing both legs on either side of you. He giggled in delight, quick and breathy as he took in the horrified expression on your face.
Oh, come on. Running away from our date? It's not very nice stuff.
Leaning down to meet your nose with his, he watched closely as tears streamed down your face, amused at your pathetic attempt to wriggle away. Blade in hand, he grabbed both your wrists and held you in place. Let me go! Someone! Please! Oh no! He feigned a sympathetic look before taking his tongue and dragging it slowly along your tear-stained cheek. You whimpered at the feeling sick to your stomach before scrambling out from under his grip. You somehow managed to flip onto your stomach, trying desperately to crawl away, but it was no use. Avon simply laughed and drove his blade into your calf. Oh god! Crying out of the sudden searing pain, you instinctively tried to hold your leg, but were quickly reminded of the circumstances. So you kept crawling, praying to any god that was there. Please, please god, anyone, help me. You whimpered out as you pulled yourself onto the path. Avon simply trailed behind you before yanking the blade out of your calf and pinning you to the ground once more. He yanked your head back quickly about your hair, just enough that you could look him in the eye. There was an uncanny number of rings in his eyes pulsing in and out at rapid speeds.
There's no god here, silly thing.
Avon's voice dragged between somewhere a laugh and a snarl before suddenly cutting. Avon closed the distance between you and whispered against your ear while pressing his bloody blade against your neck.
But you sure did make this game exciting for me, didn't you? Duff.
He smiled.
The playtime is over.
The expression on his handsome face dropped, before dragging his knife sharply against your neck. Blood spilled out in thick streams before you even got to say a word. The red liquid choking your airways as he tried to grasp desperately at the pain, as if that would change a thing. He flipped you over as he spat at you through gritted teeth.
I hate you.
You know? He smiled thinly as his eyes bore into yours.
But I'll like you a lot more once you're dead and silent, where you can't say shit. You morally superior fuck.
Your consciousness faded in and out as you continued to bleed from your neck, sputtering and choking beneath him.
That's right. Bleed out, you bitch.
Ending 2. I hate you to death. Oh, I think that might have been the scariest one. Let's get the other ones. There's 2 more left. Okay, we are back at this scene where it diverges. He simply stared off in the rain and back at you. When he looked back at you, he gave you a gentle smile, but it slowly fell. You two waited out the heavy rain patiently, eventually sitting against the wall in your own spaces. He scrolled through his phone, as did you, just enjoying each other's company as the wait passed. And soon it did as the rain turned into gentle sprinkles. He checked his phone for the time and sighed.
It's getting hella late, huh? Guess I should drive you back home.
You looked up at him. Oh, crap, you're right. Avon stood and brushed his clothes off and nodded his head for you to follow him back towards the pathway to the entrance of the cemetery. What about the rest of the stuff? Avon glanced over his shoulder and shook his head.
I'll come clean it later on. Just worry about getting you home for now.
You nodded in agreement and followed him down the path back to the entryway of the cemetery. Finally back at the car, he opened his door and got in like he was lost in thought. You took it as a sign to get in as well and finally settled with a sigh. You were glad the rain stopped so soon. The date was getting weirder and weirder by the second. Yes, it was. As you relaxed, he took out another thing, a long switchblade, and placed it on the control panel before starting up the car. Did you always have that? He clicked in his seatbelt, looking at the switchblade and at you.
Yeah, keep it on me in case anything bad happens.
Making his way out of the parking lot, he didn't really talk for the rest of the ride. He was just thinking. His face looked like it carried regret, like lost opportunity, but he was still polite and spoke occasionally for the sake of things not being awkward. You two arrived at your place and he got out of the car to watch you walk in. Thanks for the date and driving me home.
Yeah, of course. Rain was a killer, though.
You glanced out at your rain-dampened clothes. A little rain never killed anybody.
I guess you're right. Tonight was nice, Yandere. I'll let you get inside and get settled.
You smiled and nodded, turning on your heel and walking inside your place. After that, you two barely talked. Just here and there, but never went any further than that, and neither did the connection. Even when you two did see each other in person, it felt as if you were looking at the perfect mask. You did push one day, however, asking what was wrong. But when you did, he had nothing more to say other than a small laugh and...
Dunno. It was kind of boring sometimes, you know?
And so you left it at that. Ending 1, you bore me to death. To be continued. Oh. Alright, one more ending to get. So far, I have picked every single good option. Like every single overly praising option. So we'll start from here as well, because in some sick fashion, I think he prefers it when you have no one. Neither. I've got people, but I wouldn't call it good. Avon looks at you for a long moment. Something in his expression shifts like piqued interest. My friends, they were never really my friends. They used me pretty often. Kind of talk behind my back. Just toxic overall. Family isn't any better either. They never really gave me any grace. Every small mistake was like 1,000 sins in their eyes. Living with that was... You trailed off. He spoke softly.
That's awful, really.
He leans in just slightly, his hand brushing against your knee and then to your face.
I can't imagine why anyone would put you through that. You seem so genuine, you know?
His gaze lingers and drops briefly to your lips before looking away.
You shouldn't have to go through all this stuff alone. You should have a supportive family. A friend that genuinely cares for you.
He smiles warmly, brows tying together softly.
I could always be that for you, you know? Or more if you're into that. I mean, this is a date, isn't it?
You laugh softly, not quite expecting the warmth rising in your chest. Maybe, yeah. I'd like to see where this leads. Everyone's eyes gleam, pleased. Not surprised, but pleased. He pulls away but keeps his distance.
Of course, even if no one's there for you, I will. I promise.
He shifts a bit closer, the edge of his thigh now pressed to yours. I think I like that. His hand still resting on your knee moves in slow, idle circles. He spoke quietly as if the dead could hear him, smiling gently.
Good. I was hoping you'd say that. I'd always keep you safe.
Laughing slightly to ease the tension, you decide to move the topic to something more light. Yeah, that was getting a bit obsessive. You both sat on the edge of the blanket, your drink settled beside you. Alright, I'm gonna skip forward a little bit, because this is still the poetry choices that we have to get through. Alright, and here we are. Back to this bit where it splinters off. He simply stared off into the rain and back at you. When he looked back at you, there seemed to be more rings in his eyes. Much more than before. They were still steady, however, so maybe you were imagining things. A wide smile sat on his face.
You know, Yandere, I really enjoyed spending time with you tonight.
So did I. Yandere, I think you should run. Avon giggled inside, looking at you with something like relief.
You just seemed to really listen, and I was happy to hear about your life as well, you know? I don't get to open up much without being judged.
I was judging. Me. On the other side of the screen, I was saying that you needed help.
I like that about you, Yandere. You don't judge, you listen. Even if it was a lot for a first date.
You laughed along with him as he pulled you closer. I didn't mind. It's a breath of fresh air, kind of. And you're a pretty interesting person. It was great hearing your story, even if it's a bit dark or heavy.
I'm glad you think so.
You two stared into each other's eyes. His grip around your waist tightened slightly. Not saying a word, you were just focused on the other, faces an inch apart. You didn't know what made you gravitate towards him. Maybe it was the mystery, or maybe you just liked standing so close to something dangerous. Your heartbeat raced. You didn't understand why, but the feeling was there. He must have caught on to your thoughts, because even though you weren't expecting it, it was what you wanted. Deep down, even if you tried to deny it, he seemed to know. He gently pulled you in, making your heart pound so loud you were sure he could hear it. Then all at once he caught your mouth in his, reckless and trembling. Your eyes shot open in shock. At first the kiss was gentle and soft, like a first crush. Innocent even. You melted into it, closing your eyes and letting it continue, the feeling devouring you whole. But it shifted. It grew hungry. His lips crashed harder against yours, pressing you back against the cold stone. Is he gonna bang me in the cemetery? Your lips parted, letting him in. His trembling hands slid up your jaw, pulling you in deeper. Yandere. Your name left his lips in a gasp, kiss becoming messy and frantic, bordering desperation and near obsession. His heated breath brushed roughly against your skin as the kiss deepened with his hunger, making your breath catch. It was feverish in the way his teeth bit your lips, demanding further entrance. It was as if he wanted to eat you alive. When he pulled away, he was breathing hard, a shaky breath escaping him. The rings in his eyes pulsed rapidly, bright in the dim light. Oh no! Oh, this is bad. You caught your breath as he stared at your face. Yandere, I really like you. This is terrifying. I really like you too, Avon. Avon's face darkened, a smile widened in a way that didn't settle right in your chest. Yeah? You nodded slowly, still drunk off the heated kiss. I'd like to keep you, Yandere, to myself. Forever. You wouldn't have to worry about a thing anymore. I'd take care of you. You wouldn't even have to lift a single finger. Ever. A hitch of his breath passed his throat, giddy but real. The world doesn't need you. It doesn't deserve you. Heat rose to your face at his words. Keep me. Forever. Like, date? No. Confusion washed over you. Didn't he just confess? No, but didn't you just say you liked me? Oh, Yandere, run. I did say that, didn't I? That's why. I'm so sorry for this stuff. I'm just simply never letting you go. You tried to ask another question, but the sudden sharp pain in your back caused you to gasp for air, making your legs freeze and paralyze. You looked below you, blood pooling directly behind your feet, huffing and clinging reflexively to the man in front of you. Avon pushed his long switchblade deeper into your spine and into your body. Thousands of questions flooded your mind as shock and fear suddenly filled your senses. You tried to scream, but as Avon pulled his blade out, blood filled your throat, choking you. Clutching desperately onto your chest, you staggered and nearly fell before he caught you. Shh. You're only making such a mess, my dove. Your eyes locked with his, focusing on his handsome face as you gripped your last breath of life. Hi, Moogle. I'm terrified. I'm playing a game that's very well written. Your eyes locked with his, focusing on his handsome face as he gripped onto your last breath of life. His eyes pulsed rapidly at your desperation, giving him a rush of adrenaline and overwhelming love. Avon unlocked your tight hands from his shirt and held them lovingly as the life slowly drained from your eyes. He was smiling. Tears well up as unconsciousness threatens to take you. His breath quickened as he held you, thumb wiping your tears away. You're right. I did say I liked you. But no, I feel a lot more than that. I love you, Yandere. Horrifying. He grinned, bringing your now heavy, lolling head to his, placing a single kiss on your lips. This time he didn't close his eyes, no. His eyes burned into yours the whole time as life slowly slipped away, and you were nothing more than an empty husk. Pulling away, he allowed your body to drop to the ground and wiped off his lips. Oh no. Looking around the entry of the mausoleum, he sighed heavily. Crap. I have to clean this. A week had passed, and Avon had successfully gotten all rid of evidence connected to your death. It was part of his profession after all. What kind of criminal would he be otherwise? He got rid of everything, but not of you. No, he kept you. Oh no! And he planned to for as long as possible. Isn't that what he promised, right? He kept your body cold, slowing the decaying process at the morgue. The same morgue connected to the cemetery you died at. Is he taxidermying me? Please don't. You were an amazing listener, and you just got him. One of the many things that made him like you so much, but with that you easily let your guard down. He liked that. He liked easy targets like you. He spoke to you at times, told you about his day and ranted about co-workers. Practiced his studies, all between him completing his assigned work with autopsies and embalming through his day-to-day. There were only 2 cameras throughout the entire building. One at the front and another where money was held. All for security, neither of which he passed through during his day-to-day. And given his time there, no one really questioned the presence of another body or two. Avon sighed as he glanced over your body on the autopsy table. He dressed you nicely and kept you looking well, taking care of you just as he said he would. Just like a doll. Taking off his gloves, he held your rigid body against the wall and laid his arms along the metal table. Are you excited for tonight, Yandere? Of course you couldn't respond. You were dead. We're going to celebrate. He giggled as he held your hand, massaging the stiff limb from its cold state. I decided to take you for dinner. There's a small restaurant I rented out in the outskirts of town. Don't worry about pesky cameras, they won't find you. With a gentle kiss to your hand, he grinned to himself. If they do, which they won't, you'll already be cremated and food for fish at the bottom of the lake, He giggled to himself. Just imagine that, looking for a pile of ashes. He stared into your closed eyes and sighed, letting go of the cold limb. Don't look at me like that. It's not happening anytime soon. Avon couldn't help but lean in, bringing his fingers to lift and close your eyelids. Dolly. He closed in and swept his eyes, and swept your eyes down once more with a single finger. Dolly. Oh, that is disturbing. Avon couldn't stop himself from lifting each of your arms up and swinging them back and forth, the same way a child would do to a life-size doll. Very well-written horror. Very little unsettles me, but I think this has been such a realistic and well-written portrayal as to how evil this man is. It is making my skin crawl a little bit. With a childish giggle, he nuzzled his nose against your empty husk. He hummed at his own antics and straightened with that same sickening smile. I'll get the car ready. The ride was long and the car was kept freezing cold, but you two made it eventually, him and you. Or well, your corpse. It's a shame that he's so pretty here too. We could have, you really need therapy. He sat across you and smiled as he drank his champagne slowly. God, this is fun, isn't it? Just you and I. Not a camera in sight at this place. He enjoyed his food, speaking with you, asking you questions. It was truly a one-sided conversation. But he smiled happily, enjoying his time with you even if you were dead. Drinking the rest of the champagne, he tilted his head at you. Oh, Yinny, you hardly touched your food. Yes, I'm dead. He sat up, grabbed his coat and pulled it over his shoulders. Walking over to your side of the table, he leaned over your ear and whispered as if you could ever hear him. But it's not like you ever could, huh, Yinny? He grinned, eyes pulsing maniacally. He wasn't delusional, of course. He knew you were dead, but he fully intended to make every moment that much more fun for himself. You really are like a doll, Dove. He giggled, eyes becoming half-lidded as his nerves calmed. Come on, let's go home. Ending 4. I love you to death. And that is all the endings for Date at the Cemetery, for chapter 1 at least. Let's chat about this because I was horrified. Not in a bad way. I was horrified in the sense that I went into this expecting it was dark and it was going to be horror. And I was rewarded with the fact that it was a very well-written horror romance. We're going to go at this carefully and with tact, because this does cover some pretty heavy topics. So first off, my initial thoughts of Avon was that he was going to be very similar to a lot of the yanderes that we see in popular yandere dating sims. And there's nothing wrong with that because it's just something that I expect a lot because that's what we're used to. However, every now and then we get love interests that take it to absolute 0 to 100 and genuinely drive the horror home. And I think this was very, very well written. And also in saying so, and honestly, I enjoyed playing this. It unsettled me, it made me worried, it made me scared, made me anxious, and also it made me sad. And in saying that I enjoy media like this doesn't mean that I condone Avon's actions and that I absolutely love him and he's a forgivable baby girl, because no, he's absolutely awful and he genuinely needs help. But I think the developer did such a good job in characterizing him to be so incredibly monstrous and so scary. And it was genuinely a treat to play on Halloween because I wanted something to scare me and this unsettled me. Starting with Avon, I think his design, first of all, absolutely gorgeous. He is without a doubt attractive. If someone like him approached me, I'd be like, well, hey, hi. And at the start, before he revealed all of his shittery, I was very blushy and very But when he starts to reveal his past, I was like, that Patrick image in the SpongeBob movie where he sits there and he's like that was me. And you can feel sorry for someone who is awful while also condemning their actions at the same time, which is what I'm going to do here. I feel really sorry for Avon. I feel terrible about his upbringing. The fact that his mother abandoned him, ran away with his sister, severing the connection with his sister, and now it's not quite the same anymore. Leaving him with his abusive father who just got worse and worse over time. Stuff like that, especially when you are developing as a child, which is your fundamental years, really, really messes you up. And it is so sad that the adults in his life failed him so terribly and he turned out to be the way that he is. However, in saying so, while there is an increased difficulty in him understanding what is right or not, a lot of the stuff was done of his volition as well. The stuff that he did towards Xander, how he manipulated his friends, not to mention the situation with the cat as well, which is terrifying to me. And a lot of the macabre stuff that he does, even doing stuff on the dark web and everything like that, a lot of it is his choice. And at a certain point, we can't exactly blame it all on his upbringing. Could the upbringing have been a catalyst to how he turned out as an adult? Absolutely. But at some point, he needs to take responsibility for his actions. And it's incredibly sad and terrifying because in a way, he's got like a bit of a victim complex going, right? Because he thinks the world has failed him and therefore he's just here to take what he deserves, what he should have. And that makes someone very, very dangerous when they are so self-righteous about what they deserve. I think that is such a tragic character to have. Because when you're playing the game, well, personally, when I was playing the game, I was like, it could have turned out so much differently. If he had met someone good, if he had met someone who was assertive enough to help him like get therapy, help him to get help and heal, and show him that he was loved, could it have turned out differently? And it's like almost when you're playing this, you lament the loss of the potential that he had as a person. And you feel sorry for what he went through as a child, but at the same time, he needs to be condemned and he needs to be held accountable for what he's done. And I think that's part of what made him such a good character for me and why he's so scary and sad, and it's just tragic. It doesn't mean I condone his actions, I very much abhor them, but you can feel sorry for somebody while also holding them accountable at the same time. Secondly, the scary bit about this for me was it's the fact that personally for me and my experiences as a cisgender woman, going on dates and having a date turn out like this is a horrifying possibility that I've always had in the back of my mind. Because like I have had my shares of bad dates in the past, enough to scare me in ensuring that dates that I would have after those were always in a public place. Which is, I mean, I haven't had first dates in like 7 years because I've been with Jared. But even with mine and Jared's date, past dates scarred me so much that I made sure it was a public restaurant and there were a lot of people around. Because I had a date that it wasn't similar to this. It wasn't like they didn't try and kill me or anything. But it was a situation in which I was so uncomfortable in where we were heading, but I was scared to say no and scared to reject because I feared the reaction. And I feel like that's how MC felt at the start. If you don't pick the, oh yeah, this is cool option when you arrive at the cemetery. Because it's like, what if I say no now and they get so upset they hurt me? But if I say yes and if I play my cards right, I can get home safely and I will never have to see them again. That's like the mindset that I was having, at least, or that I was reflecting on when I was playing through this, which is why I was so frightened. So I have to say, this was brilliantly done. Absolutely brilliantly done. Definitely, if you guys are going to play this for yourself, pay attention to the tags, please. Read the warnings. Make sure you understand that this is a dark piece of media and a dark piece of media that handles the topic and intention that it wants to very, very well. And I'm incredibly curious and interested to see what is going to happen in chapter 2 onwards, because there is a continuation for this. The ending where he drives you home, which is ending 3, which is next time, that is a continuation ending that is going to be continued in chapter 2. So it'll be really interesting to see how Avon's character is going to be fleshed out, how we're going to handle this whole thing, and what is going to happen. I really hope that there is a route where we hold him accountable in a way and start to gently help him go in the right direction. We can't fix someone, and nor should we rely on other people to fix us, because that is an unhealthy dynamic. However, we can be patient and understand when someone needs help and gently push them towards that direction. I really hope that's a route that we can take, because the stuff that he's done is incredibly serious and not something that we can brush under the carpet simply. So I really hope that in the future chapters there is some way to hold him accountable while also getting him the help that he needs and deserves. But no, in saying so, I genuinely had a really good time with this. I think it hit the nail on the head very well. I feel like it achieved everything in a very, very well written and horrifyingly realistic way for me personally. And I have to, one, commend the dev on the art. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love his design. I love the backgrounds. I love the UI. The UI is gorgeous. I love the pacing of the narrative. I love the narrative itself. Even the music chosen, everything is just put together and weaved into a really nice experience, into a really scary experience that was enjoyable for me. I need to let people know that when I say something is horrifying, when I say something is scary, I don't mean that it's bad. I mean that it is achieving what its genre is, and I'm impressed. But no, I really, really would love to see more from this dev. I can't wait to play chapter 2. And obviously when chapter 2 is out, I'm going to post a video of it. We're going to engage with it safely as we do. But yeah, enough rambling from me. I do love doing analysis, but I don't want to keep you guys like held here for too long. But thank you so much for playing this with me. I hope you guys enjoyed exploring this as much as I did. And if you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next part of this game and future videos as well. And also, if you guys would like to check out this game, please 1, make sure you're in a good mindset. 2, please leave the dev a kind comment and also a lovely review if you do enjoy it. The game is completely free, so you know, it's like the least we could do just to support the developers. And also, if you would like to support my channel, my Patreon is in the description box below. Subscribing is not mandatory, just very, very appreciated. Anyway, thank you so much again, and until next time, take care.